What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Maxed Out Lax podcast, providing you your Laximum Banter in these early afternoon, mid-morning meetups, depending on where from the country you are, as we saw last 2 weeks ago when we last did this. You
Yeah,
represent everywhere.
we try
Lacrosse,
to.
lacrosse is an American game.
hmm
Maxwell, buddy, how we doing, Coach?
we're good, man. Riding high off a solid win last night. Beat Los Lomas with my Bishop Dow team. Yeah, feeling good about that. Offense finally started clicking a little bit more. Um, we've seen a lot of the looks plenty of times. They understand that. They understand what they need to do. We've just a few too many unforced turnovers.
Yeah,
Us California boys sticks are where they should be.
I mean, I would trade the Tennessee sticks I have for California sticks most days of the week. But I'm in the same boat,
Good to know.
riding high. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Friday night, headed about 2 hours away to a little town called Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and Pigeon Forge is best known for Dollywood, Dolly Parton's amusement park. But as we were driving there, Jax and I decided that it was if Disney in Vegas had a baby, it would be Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Yeah.
But went down there, literally 11 dudes had one substitute and came out with a 9-7 win for the first win that this
There we
program
go.
has had in 2.5 years. So
That
that
is
was
very incredible.
yeah, that was the big one for me.
Yeah, it's a
Huge
huge one.
efforts, like that's what it's about. Like from what I'm hearing, the team we're going to play on Thursday night is like one of the best in the state, and it's a club made up of a private school team, basically. So they're coming to town. We're gonna punch them in the mouth and beat up some private school kids.
The
So
hell out of you are. And that's gonna feel damn good.
oh yeah, but that's what it's all about. But
Absolutely.
it was fun, and it's growing and it's developing and the kids are having fun and enjoying it.
Yeah.
And really,
hmm
where I'm at, that's how it needs to be right now. My
Yeah.
practices aren't, oh, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z for 2 hours. No, it's hey, let's roll a bell out, let's play, let's put you in the context and the situations you're gonna be in, and dear God, I hope you learn it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not exactly the same situation I'm in, but a definitely very similar situation. The Bay Area has a handful of really good lacrosse teams at the high school level. Yard sale.
Yard sale.
Yard sale.
How much? I'll pay
That's
shipping.
That's a record-breaking stick. You get it's a hefty price on that one.
I've still got mine in the closet. Don't worry, you're not alone.
Yeah, I unstrung it unfortunately, but
Oh, mine is legitimately broken now. So I kept all the mesh together and everything, and it's just this broken STX shield.
that's great. You have a really good high school lacrosse teams in the greater Bay Area region, and you get a lot of kids that travel from a decent amount. Like we have a lot of kids in Oakland who go up to Marin to play for MC. We had a handful of kids who go to San Francisco to play for SI. At O'Dowd, we don't have a strong feeder program. We're not getting a lot of kids who've been playing for years and years. It's a tough thing, but it's like you're saying, we're building a program, starting that culture. O'Dowd is always been kind of decent, but it's just one of those schools that if when it comes to lacrosse, it suffers at the hands of these other private Catholic schools.
Well, and it's also the thing where if I'm going to pay for my kid to go to school, and my kid is a lacrosse player who's been playing for a bunch of years, why wouldn't I send them to one of the four other private schools within a 2-hour radius where they can get the same equal education, but maybe get better lacrosse? And it is a culture shift. Like,
Mm-hmm.
'cause I'm sure you've got guys who even go to like SHP down in San Jose and stuff out of Oakland.
Yeah.
Because you hop on
Yeah.
BART and then you take a train or a bus out to SHP. Like, that ain't a big deal. Most of these
SHP
most of
probably
these
sends a
kids,
shuttle up to
right?
Oakland to pick up kids.
They grab that Google bus and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna borrow this. I got a lacrosse
The bus
team to
drives
pick
itself.
up."
They don't have. It's not another body for them. It's a
They just hack.
self-driving
They just
bus.
hack the system, and it just goes to all their lacrosse players' houses.
Mm-hmm.
But and I mean, it's cool to even look back because that wasn't how it was in 07 when I was playing. You know,
Yeah.
MC wasn't considered this upper echelon lacrosse program yet. MA wasn't there. SHP wasn't there. You know, it was the Monte Vistas. It was the San Ramones. I guess De La Salle was there. Because De La Salle will always be there with the amount of funding they can put into any sport they give a damn about. But it was
that blue and red school in the city.
Yeah, that one.
They were there.
Those Wildcats, they were always there.
We're gonna have to start dedicating them a little more time, maybe for some of these high school stuff, man. But you saw that. You saw that SI went down south though, and did very well.
I did see that they went to Southern California. Have you been seeing all like the? I've been seeing a bunch more highlights from like McDonough's games and all those like. What's the Maryland lacrosse, the MCLL? I don't remember. That big league that has like McDonough, Bullis, all those schools in it.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing a lot of like highlight stuff on YouTube and Instagram. Good. So yeah, and it's super cool. And I follow a couple of guys that do a lot of stuff for like Ohio, like a lot of the Cincinnati guys and that stuff. And obviously plugged into PA. Shout out to my Cedar Crest Falcon kids up there in Central PA. They opened their season on Friday against a team they better go out and whoop because we barely lost to them last year, and this team returns quite a bit. So
never feels good.
But yeah, no, I definitely love talking high school lacrosse. And talking about what athletes we're going to be talking about for the next decade.
Oh yeah.
But we were having a conversation before we hopped aboard and started streaming. Can you put those two sticks up?
Yes, one second.
The ones you yard sailed yourself with.
Right. Chaw. Back up a bit.
Yeah. So these are one generation apart, and I will, without a shadow of the doubt, say the two, which is the all-white one for you in chat. That is such a more Evo shape, and we were talking about this before because we're giant geeks, and that's okay. I just I love the traditional in the one, but
it does look really good. I don't think I can take it out.
No, I don't.
I need to fix up the pocket a little bit.
I mean, all trads need are a little TLC, and they will never let you down.
Yeah, I don't know if I should. And then we could bring out another one here too.
Oh yeah.
This fake shape is just like.
So and that's
look at it from the back. It's just straight.
That's the new adrenaline head, right?
Yeah, this is the Adrenaline Nomad.
And I think
beautiful peachy salmon color.
I think the Kavanaughs are playing with those, right? And the Notre Dame team are playing with those.
They definitely have the option to. Notre Dame does get a bunch of their gear from Adrenaline. I would be a little bit surprised if they were.
Are they like give me a quick review on it. I haven't gotten my hands on one yet. I haven't gotten to play with it. So I am intrigued because I mean, being a California kid, we both I think will draw ourselves to some of those lesser known companies, the String Kings, the Adrenalines, those companies that kind of came out of the California lacrosse movement.
1,000%. Obviously, Adrenaline started as a huge apparel company. Still is. And out of San Diego.
Running tournaments.
Yeah.
I mean, Adrenaline's been doing a lot for the West Coast lacrosse scene for a long time.
And the way they've grown and blossomed over the last, even 10 years, because like for a while they were doing a great chunk of tournaments, and I feel like their tournaments kind of dipped off a little bit and they kind of stopped doing as many, but now they're like back on up and they're running a ton of tournaments now. I've been a handful. So I was able to get my hands on this beauty. Got my gear in their mini duffel down in my car. But yeah, this is all right. I'm not a huge fan of the face shape. It's really wide and there's not a lot of flare here, as you can see. It's an interesting head. I like the stringing options. It feels stiff enough. It has an interesting, I don't know how well you can see it, but you see this this like ridge here. There's like an opening on top here. If I put my hand behind it, you can see the holes. So you can almost string it like higher up.
So that reminds me of kind of what they used to do with the gate torques. Do you remember those?
And the STX Surgeon did it a couple years ago too. With the one, it went like up.
Oh yeah,
here,
it was on the bottom. Yeah, it was
and it
weird.
Went like all the way up. Yes.
I guess if you wanted to string like a super high pocket, it could have been cool and worked.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones up high are cool because you can really pull that channel down and tighten that channel to where you want it pretty quickly.
Yes.
Which is always good. And
yeah, no, I agree.
I will say
I think it'll be a good like LSM head.
I could see that. Or maybe like a two-way MIDI kind of guy. With the wideness of it though, if you string that right, that could be a box guy's dream.
Next thing out of my mouth, as well as almost like a good crease attacker.
Yeah, well, maybe Jake Taylor was the guy I thought I saw using it.
He could be the one using it. But I don't know if we got a good enough look after that double BTB. It's hard to see what head he was using.
We've got some highlights to talk about because, dear Lord, that Griffin Shuts backhand to backhand from Cormier.
Wild. It's like one of those UVA things. Is like such a bad play.
Yeah, it wasn't like, good lacrosse.
Not at all. It was a force inside, and he handled it in pressure. And then for the fact that he then dodges right back into where the pass just came from. Again, he's dodging. His dodge starts with someone in his hands, and that guy just throws the takeaway check because it was a pass coming, and he runs away from it.
But
that was nasty.
I guess my turn. This was my most recent project. I am deciding. Beautiful. I'm gonna go with the little Heart Foundation pink and black for you wrestling fans, but gotta go get there's a special kind of RIT dye that is it's called Blacker Than Black. So sometimes I don't know, and chat, if you guys are stick dyers, feel free to chime in on any of this, but if you try to dye black over a different color, a lot of times you can't get that true black.
Which is funny because you feel like that's when it would be a better black,
right? But I've tried to do a bunch of stuff, and it always kind of gives it this gray tone. And I wanted black, so my wonderful
there we go.
Wife
in the chat,
Orly Jacks, who hangs out. She found this Blacker Than Black kit, and it's supposed to be darker and meaner, and well, that's what I want. So that's where we're going with that. I'm trying to decide between a Mark Matthews replica pocket circa 2010 to 2012 when he was at Denver, and the P30 and the P34 that we talked about on a previous podcast. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think the P34 will work well in those strinking heads because they're pretty wide.
Yeah.
And with you have plenty of options to feed it through on the sidewalk as well with all the holes you get.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, die. Have you checked out any of the more like lax or lacrosse specific, or like even plastic specific ones? Because RIT dye is obviously technically for clothes.
So this one, the RIT dye I used for this one, is a RIT synthetic dye. So it is made for plastics and things of the sorts, and they come like this one came out, and I don't know if it's translating as well on camera. So I will I'll take some pictures of this head and quick plug.
Please do.
I will post them to the Discord. So if
post any of Discord, maybe we throw them on the IG.
We'll throw them on the IG. We'll see if we can take some pictures of some sticks that we have.
Just a little gear tour, kind of bag. What's in your bag? What have you collected over the years?
Well,
maybe make.
Funnily enough, there's an entire channel for that on the Discord, but the Instagram, because I still have. Do you remember those old Dominican heads the coaches got, the dyed ones?
Oh yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah, so I still have mine all strung up and everything. So nice. I'll post that one up. I've got some cool stuff. I've got the old Dominican Pro 7.
Yeah, I have all of my old Dominican helmets. I
never played with the Pro 7. I just found it in the closet and asked Sammy.
And took it.
And I was like, Sammy, nobody can use this. Can I have it? And he was like, sure. Like, sweet.
Hell yeah, that's great.
I have everything up to when you guys got, cool and got the S's.
Fair enough. That happens.
But no, we'll post some stuff on the IG and the Discord for years. And you guys post your cool stuff. Everybody in the chat, we love lacrosse gear, so we want to see. Yeah. We want to see what you guys are rocking with.
I know that. I'm still learning how to actually be a streamer and such on Twitch.
Yeah,
but
and that's all this is a giant learning experience.
Let's pin the Discord link in the chat again for our thousands of viewers who are going to flock to that.
Yeah.
Quick shout out, CH1 baby in the house.
Aw, damn.
Florida, Charlie Hurst. He needs to make an account so he can comment in chat, but he's blowing my phone up right now. We're talking about some dye.
What's he got to say? Good old Chuck always loves the takes.
His first text is just "Rit more dye," and then he said, "I heard if you dyed heads yellow first, they dye black better," and that's from the manager at Sling It. Direct quote right there. You can take it to the bank. Charlie Hurst.
He's
putting his life on that. No, Zach Thompson is.
Okay.
That's a quote from Zach Thompson.
Okay.
Yeah, big dudes, no mistake goalie.
Yeah. No, I've played with Zach. I've played with Zach a bunch of times.
Yeah. Awesome dude.
Yeah, great guy.
Freaking nicest kid, nicest dude. Get along with him really well. Love Zach. Love Charlie. But that would make sense. That yellow is a little bit like kind of an easy color. But yeah.
The problem with trying to do that, it means you've either got to exactly match up your, like if you're trying to fade it, your fade point, or you have to be able to mix yellow with whatever color you want to fade the black with.
Well, good thing you like Dominican.
Good thing I do like Dominican, but not all of my heads are going to be black and gold. We are not whatever that rapper's name was that did
oh my God.
Black and yellow.
That wasn't Wiz.
It was Wiz Khalifa.
It was. You're totally right.
I couldn't remember the name, but yes, that 100%. How we didn't play that more at Dominican is beyond me, but
because we all were sick of it. It was too obvious. And not to mention, me and my variation of colors throughout my life. I went to black and gold high school, for those of you who are unaware.
Yeah, you've just been in black and gold for as long as you can remember.
Not bad colors combo.
I mean,
works pretty good.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with getting back into orange and black. Like, it was a hard color combo in high school, but now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of cool stuff you could do with it.
I mean, orange is my favorite color, as anyone who semi-knows me will know. the two heads, the two sticks I'm using mostly right now, not even these ones, obviously. Got a Tactic 3 dyed bottom fade orange.
Ooh.
So top
Okay.
is white, the bottom is an orange fade up. And then that has some armor mesh in it. And I am loving the armor mesh. Got another piece right here. Quick plug, not an ad, but maybe we should hit them up because I love this stuff.
Yeah, let me send a couple of messages out. When I was in Central PA where Armor Mesh is made, the guys that I were playing with, a bunch of them represented Armor Mesh in a tournament. So we'll see. We'll see if I can get them on to come talk about their product and stuff.
Doesn't say made. Oh, maybe it doesn't inside, but yeah, I am big proponent of this stuff. I really like it.
I got to get my hands on a piece so I can try it.
Let's see. Maybe I'll send you a little care package.
With your advanced getting you stuff.
But then so that orange, I got like an orange shooter and an orange nylon in that, and then that's on a broken Carbon 2.0 Pro. Cut about it broke up at the top, like right under the throat. So I just like chopped off the like broken part up there. Got a nice little cut down, man.
So what you're telling me is you're playing with an illegal stick.
Completely and absolutely, yes.
Welcome to Men's League. Coach. Welcome to Men's League.
Right?
Soon enough, you'll have views in it.
I've had some use in other heads. They've been in and out of my other sticks already. I have been messing around with them, and I'm sort of messing around with them immediately. The Colorado Lax guy, is it Powell Lax, right?
Yeah, Coach.
He throws a U I saw him with a U in one of his armor mesh heads, and that I want to try next.
So is it a U? Is it a U, or did he Chenango it a little bit? Because I've seen that a lot with the armor mesh, where they'll Chenango it down to create that little V. And when I do that, my stick's in the car because I was coaching and I have to coach. But when I Chenango down my top strings, it looks like I have U's in, and I don't.
I'm watching a video of his.
Try to find out.
I'm sending it to you. I am 97% sure that is a U. No, yeah. Yeah, it's a U. I don't think it's Shendango. Yeah, here's another one that you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
I want to try that. I like that look a lot.
That'd be pretty cool. Now, I like a lot of his stuff, just helping out.
Yes.
And those are U's, because his top string isn't pulled, his top corners aren't pulled down far enough.
My video wasn't loading. It was super fuzzy, so thank you for confirming that.
Yep. U's for the win,
I
children.
like this stuff. Yeah, right.
But yeah, talking about gear, did you catch any of the PLL Japan gear?
A little bit. Those helmets are clean.
Oh, the cherry blossom with the chrome. Oh, they are so pretty.
Oh, mama.
And
those things are absolutely gorgeous.
They also did it with the gloves. Did you see Matt Rambo's gloves? Because his were my favorite.
Unfortunately, I didn't really. I wasn't able to see a ton. I saw a few of the kind of customized ones.
So
I think I might have. I just can't recall it off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm scrolling back to see if I can find it. There they are. So I just sent you.
Unfortunately, semi on Lacrosse weekend.
I just sent it to you. on
Beautiful.
Instagram. And for anyone else in chat who wants to go look at, there we go. They are right there on the lovely screen. Well, those are Jared Newman's, but yeah, like the Jared Newman's are sick. He's got the he went full cherry blossom. It looks like on his with some Japanese characteristics, but Matt
I did see these.
Matt Rambo decided to put Mario and Luigi on one glove and a bunch of sushis and soy sauce on the other glove. So, Matty Rambo, I know you're a big dude. I know you love eating. But do you love eating so much that you got to have sushi on your glove to remember what you're getting for dinner after you go beat up a bunch of Japanese players? Because, well, the PLL roster for this was absolutely ridiculous.
Exact.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple highlights, not a ton, but
I love that
it's a great thing.
I love that they're doing this, and it right? wasn't. I mean, so the first game, the first men's game between the PLL All-Star team and the Japanese club. What club did they play? Tell me. Sake Cross.
Yeah.
That was an 8-5 game. That is uberly competitive. And
yeah, that's super close.
And the female game, because the PLL also took the Unleashed Women's Professional League, brought an all-star team as well, and they tied 15-15. So at this point,
I saw that.
At this point, we got to start wondering on the sense of the global game, on the sense of where we are for World Lacrosse with the Olympics coming in. Japan is looking real dangerous.
They're starting to get better and better. You know, we're playing sixes this summer, and that's what they're playing just now. They're going to be really competitive. You know, it's been blowing up over there. Everyone's seen all the videos of
there is a lacrosse
college championship.
There's a lacrosse bar there in Tokyo that is all decorated around lacrosse. Mm-hmm. Like, they are absolutely embracing lacrosse.
Oh, it's incredible. They full on love it. And they're going to be good. They weren't awful at the World Games. You know, they make some noise even in the full field game.
I'm intrigued to see this summer at World Indoors.
Are they going to have a box team?
They do.
Okay.
They're surprisingly somehow in Pool C. So their pool is going to be them, Switzerland, Sweden, and Greece. And if they can come out and have the same type of showing that they had in the Sixes tournament, where they were just running everybody in their pool, you know,
they're going to be dangerous. It's a sleeper team to watch out for. You know, I think they're only going to keep getting better. Yeah, and very quickly.
Yeah, and they focus so much on the simple aspects of the game and just being so good at those things.
The fundamentals in lacrosse will take you so far.
Well, yes, but it's not just the fundamentals. They take the creativity. They take the speed. They understand those principles that it takes a lot of people a long time to understand. Playing fast, playing at pace, knowing when to push and when to pull. Like, they did all of those things really well in Sixes. So I'm interested to see how it comes together in box.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing you can say in their league is physically they're going to be the smallest team. Point blank. You're in there with Greece and 2 Scandinavian countries.
Yes. That was one of my first immediate thoughts when we talked, and when you said they're going to be in that box tournament, and they're small and quick.
Yeah.
Their game, I think, is predicated for sixes.
Okay.
Which
Dangerous.
is what I think what we'll see.
They're
going to be
dangerous.
really dangerous. Like, people need to seriously be watching out for that.
Unless you're Canada.
To see them in box. When they get into something like that, like, they want to get good at it. They want to learn it. They want to study it, and they're gonna have a really interesting play style, I think, in box. I think it's gonna be really fun to see.
Yeah. What are you doing in September?
September's actually a pretty good month for me to do something.
Okay, we may have to talk about having a meetup in Utica, New York.
Please, I would be so down. That is a great call. We'll do a live podcast in person. Damn, that's so far away. September is my birthday, so that's just the end of September is my birthday. But typically advanced practices don't pick up until late September, August, and then like the first half of September, first 2/3 of September, we're kind of off and stuff. And if I gotta make a trip like that, I gotta make a trip like that. Come on now.
Yeah, if we went Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we either see. I would want to go during pool play so I can see more games.
Yeah. How many days is it?
Pool play goes from the 20th to the 23rd, and then 24th through 29th is the bracket play.
Okay.
We could go that last weekend because you have the Nexus bracket when people get eliminated just to play.
True. Yeah. Talk to. We'll see. We might make that happen. That'd be a great little birthday present. That'd be super fun.
Netherlands is playing in Pool E with the Austrians, the Italians, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Well, they better win that.
But it's gonna be interesting because, like, outside of Pool A,
yeah,
I'm super unfamiliar with a lot of these box teams. Like, I know Israel is typically pretty good. I know the Czech Republic have a really good team, but like, I don't think I've ever seen Puerto Rico play box lacrosse before.
I might have to agree with you.
Or like China's got 3 different teams. They got Taipei, they got Hong Kong, and then they have an actual Chinese team. So, like, do you have enough players to fill all of those? I know there's a lot of political lambasting that goes on with those, but like, can America have 3 teams if we divide into the North and the South again or something? Like, how can
we have U.S., we have the Virgin Islands.
That's true. We have Puerto Rico.
Yeah, and Puerto Rico. So there you go. We have 3 teams. Bob and Sean, you're their own nation.
They are. I don't include them.
Yeah,
they are sovereign amongst themselves, and anyone who disagrees with me, go whine about it on Twitter. No, I don't care. You can disagree with me. Just go whine about it on Twitter, and I'll block you, and I'll move on with my day being happy. Because that's what it's about. But the PLL also had a couple of big trades, in my humble opinion. But starting off, I think the biggest one, the Atlas, moving on from a former first round pick. I don't know. Was he first overall that year?
No. It was last year, right?
Was it last year or 2 years ago? I'll just go look at Chris Gray.
I don't think he was. Maybe he was. Because Adler was taken first overall from Cornell.
That he was second overall in the 2022 draft.
Wisnauskas?
Must have been.
If it was 22, it would have been Wisnauskas, yeah.
But like, So they sent
Dude, not only for second overall pick, but the all-time leader in college points.
Yeah, I mean,
Number one overall.
401 total career points at UNC.
Hitting that other dude by 1 point.
Yeah.
Some other guy.
Some other guy. I think his last name was Thompson. You may have heard of him. You may not. Who knows?
I want to say like Luke or something with an L was his first name.
Yeah. Nobody remembers. No American fan remembers him because he left the PLL last summer.
He said he's coming back this year.
Did he? Cool.
Which is actually another thing we should talk about because that's going to be wild to see how he fits in on that Cannons offense. They were so good without him last year.
If the Cannons keep him.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a huge trade piece. You could get. You really like. Yeah.
But
back to Chris Gray. This crazy trade.
So the Redwoods pick up Chris Gray in the 18th overall pick for the 5th overall pick for the Atlas. So this now gives Atlas 2 and 5 in the first round, and then the second pick of the second round, and then they lose their third round pick. That's a top heavy now draft for them. Yeah. Little spoiler alert, we will be doing a mock draft here soon. So keep an eye on the next couple of podcasts because
shout out. Sorry, go ahead.
The PLL draft is May 7th. So we're going to be diving more and more into this, where we think teams should go, what we think teams should do, and then total mock drafts for you guys. Maybe more driving force. We will also post written versions of that in our Discord. But yeah, this trade, I think it does a couple of things depending on which side you're looking at. It gives the Atlas a little bit of flexibility, to be honest. I think it's pretty obvious that they want Shelley at 2. You're not going to get another left-handed attackman when your roster is currently Mark Cockerton, Jeff Teton, Eric Law. Your gap is on the right side there.
Shout out Eric Law for still bowling.
Right? Still doing it?
God. I can't, I've been hearing his name since I was in high school. It's fucking awesome.
But it does free them up at that 5th pick.
Yes.
Because they can do some different things there. I mean, I feel like Entenmann's on the board to really lock in their goalie status. The only goalies they have on their roster right now are Drake Porter and Tim Troutner. I think Drake Porter is really good at what he does. Troutner is too, but I think I like Drake Porter better, but I like Liam Entenmann better than both of them.
Yeah. Does Liam Entenmann make it to the 5th pick?
I mean, that's what is left to be seen, if you will.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Outlaws wanted to grab him. Scanoni is solid, but I think Entenmann is a huge upgrade.
But here's the thing: they only get 1 pick, right? And unless do you move up? Do you give up Brennan O'Neill to another team to try, maybe the Whip Snakes or the Chaos to try to get that pick in front of the Atlas to try to grab Liam Entenmann?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I think every team would pick up a phone call from the Outlaws. Yeah. Right now, do you want Brennan O'Neill? Yes. I don't care who my lefty is. Yes. Because it doesn't matter if I run him out of the box. It doesn't matter. If I'm the Atlas and the Outlaws call me and want to do something, yeah. Because their lefty, Jeff Teat, with what we're seeing from Canadians, he may go play summer indoor in Canada one year. You know,
Yeah.
like you
He might
never
not be
know.
around every year.
Brennan O'Neill being an American does make him more reliable to PLL teams.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. Something I wanted to touch on from last year's draft. The top 5 picks, 3 defenders and then 2 middies. And then an attackman. Only 1 attackman in the first round last year. It's going to be so different this year.
Well, and I think teams were looking at that last year in the first round. You know?
Absolutely. And they understood the I think they understood the class that was coming out the following year.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Just off the top of my head, Schellenberger, O'Neill, Kavanaugh.
Cursed.
CJ Cursed. Peyton Cormier.
Yep.
And
there's more.
Coulter Mackesy.
Coulter Mackesy.
Levi Anderson, depending on whether you want to run him down low or as a midfielder. Hashtag disappointment of the season for me. That's something else we could get into. But
hey,
you've got
what happened last night. I'm gonna grab my computer charger. I'm listening.
You're good. Looking at you've got legitimately probably 6 or 7 that could be drafted in the first round. You've got 6 or 7 attackmen who legitimately have the skill to be doing that. And looking at last year and you're looking ahead and you're like, well, all of these options are going to be here. Are any of them better than these options? Do we want to, and attack is, let's be real, it's the hardest position to crack outside of goaltending in the PLL.
Yes.
They like to set it and forget it at the attack line, and if you're an attackman, you're probably a midi.
It's you have to be unbelievably skilled to be one of those 3 guys.
Oh yeah,
and majority of people are.
So I did notice this last night as I was looking, and I wanted to get your take on it. I want you to take a guess.
Okay.
At how many attackmen each team holds, and we'll take it on average.
And I'm assuming you're saying that meaning true attackmen.
Well, how many do they list as attackmen? Because there's
3.
Most teams carry 4 listed attackmen on their 25.
Yeah. I was between 3 or 4.
So looking at it, I've got the Cannons right here. The Cannons are pretty even. They keep 4 defensemen, 4 defensive midfielders, 4 offensive midfielders. But if we come over... Yeah.
4 short stick D middies seems like a lot.
Well, you've also got to realize they've got a guy like Bubba Fairman.
Yeah. He can play both ways very easily.
Yeah.
Great in transition.
But the weird part is if you look at a lot of their midfield, you've got two attackmen on their offensive midfield.
Well, that's why I was almost hesitating on your question. I was like, if we were listed attackmen or if we're going true attackmen, there's probably 8 on each roster.
Right? Well, that's the thing. I mean, outside of the damn chaos where everybody's an attackman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They carry 6 listed attackmen on the chaos, and that doesn't include Dane Smith right now.
That's a different roster.
Who in the outdoor game? Let's see. Who was it? I think it was the Redwoods that carried an insane amount of attackmen.
Archers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 listed attackmen on the Redwoods right now, thanks to John Grant Jr.
Oh, I'm pulling up the Archers right now. Wait, what? Oh,
What? You
this
look
is the
perplexed.
championship.
Yeah, you got to click the 25-man
Yeah,
roster.
yeah. Archers have captain, 3 listed attackmen. But then their midfield, you have Ryan Ambler, who kind of play both. Grant Ament, reigning attackman of the year from his first year in. Trey Leclerc, who's an attackman in college. And, that's another 3 right there. And they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 middies. That's the majority of their offensive guys as well,
Yeah.
Matt Moore, Connor Fields, both have come out of the box a little bit for them. And, it's that same thing that we've talked about a lot in the college game right now. It's offense. You're playing offense, and these guys who are attacking are so skilled, but there's just not enough room. So you need those skill guys, but they end up playing midfield.
Well, and then you see guys like Brian Tevlin and Ricky Miezon, who were Tevlin a little bit less, but Miezon was pretty much a offensive midfielder in college when he played his 1 year of college. Is it listed as a D mid right now? Like, to play in the PLL, I feel like the first box you have to check is who's got the stick.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Yes. And, with so few teams, with such a talented player pool, it's the unfortunate situation that we're in as well.
Hashtag expand the PLL.
Hashtag expand the PLL.
Get it going. Get it started. Let's go, chat.
But
I'm
with it.
I think the cool thing about it is it's growing. We can sit here now and nitpick and be like, no, there's a bunch more people who deserve to be professional lacrosse players now.
Couldn't agree more.
But let's kind of kick it in now and talk about the college game, the next pros.
Yeah.
And because we missed a week, I'm kind of just going to group things together. But I wanted to start after last weekend specifically. I wanted to start with this dang Ivy League.
These guys need to figure this shit out.
They need to stop all bunching up because it's cheating, and I feel like they were smart.
Really annoying.
I feel like they were smart enough to figure out a way to mess with the RPI system, and they're like, "Hey, Ivy League secret meeting where your skull and crossbones ring so you can get into the club to have the secret Ivy League meeting." And all the coaches sat down and they were like, "All right, we need to have one really bad team, and the rest of us are all going to be even. Now, the rest of us, we all need to beat 2 really good opponents, one from the ACC, one from the Big Ten. Because then when we get into league play, we win."
Sounds good.
And it's what they did 2 years ago that kept Duke and Notre Dame out of the tournament. So it's one of those things because they've got one team in the top 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the, or 4 in the, from 10 to 20, they have 4 more teams.
Well, in the next ranking, that might change after last night.
That might change after last night. Last night did bring...
You brought it up, your disappointment of the year, and he didn't have a huge game, but his team had a huge game.
They did. And 10 is...
An enigma.
10 is an enigma. And
they're 5-3. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And Penn's one of those teams because if you look at it, outside of that Duke win, they have a 1-goal win against Delaware. They have a 4-goal win against Albany. I don't put a lot of weight into Villanova. I don't put a lot of weight into Brown.
You can't right now.
Like they
Yeah.
are living off that Duke win.
Yeah.
But they're one of those teams. I mean, they're 5-3, so they'll be 6-3 if they beat Dartmouth going into that Cornell game.
They still have some big wins that they can get.
They can get, and
Cornell, Yale.
They go 2-2 against Cornell, Princeton, Harvard, and Yale. You're looking at an 8-5 team with 3 to 5 losses against top 25 teams.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get in, and it's that way for all of them, for all of those Ivy League teams. Going back to Sunday, that epic game that I want to talk about, that may have been one of the best lacrosse games I ever watched, but Princeton Cornell.
Yeah.
I mean, those two teams, it's a 1-goal game. It's, and all of those things are taken into account. Sports.
Mm-hmm.
We do love sports, Cuckoo. But it's one of those things where, all of those teams are probably now, with what's left on their schedule, going to finish in the top 20.
Yeah.
Because you're playing ranked game after ranked game after ranked game, and the division isn't that much. It isn't that different. So how can we really judge? And maybe they are just that good, but there is so much parity in lacrosse right now. I want the tournament to reflect that. But when you're looking at the Ivy, Yale's won 2 big games straight, and I think they are a very scary team, and we get to see them in Cornell this week. Like, that game is on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of these games are going to go. I am so glad I do not bet, because you can't.
Yeah, we have Yale, Cornell, and Princeton, Harvard this weekend.
Yeah, and it's just it's an embarrassment of riches. It is. Yeah. Oh, good gracious! Thanks for following, Squirrely. The new GIF, everyone. Look at the cool new GIF in the bottom corner. Double thumbs up. It's kind of my thing. But it's it was a test. I simply am going to choose to believe in my headcanon that you were too busy being amazing and you forgot to follow. Because that's how it works. But Yale plays Cornell, and then they have basically 2 weeks to get ready for Penn. I like the way Yale made their schedule, because they're giving themselves a breath.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at a team like Cornell, they're going Yale, Penn, Syracuse, quick break with Brown, but again, it's the Ivy. Can Brown pull one of these massive upsets? And then they go Notre Dame, Harvard. I understand testing yourself, but
yeah, that's a gauntlet. That's not a test.
Harvard, you're looking Princeton, Virginia, a break at Dartmouth, Penn, Cornell, and then you finish with Brown. Why? And I guess maybe this is part of their secret society strategy. But you're running these kids through a gauntlet before you need them to really be performing at the highest they need to be performing at.
Yeah.
Because let's call a spade a spade. The tournament is what matters. Yes, it's great to win a regular season Ivy League title. Yes, it's great to win your conference. Yes, it's great. those teams aren't looking at that.
Mm-hmm.
Brown might be, Dartmouth might be. They may say, hey, winning the Ivy, the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Those other schools, they're close enough that they need to be thinking about a national championship. How do we get there? Because guess what? All 5 of the ACC teams, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Every last one of them. They're thinking,
Yep.
how do we make Final Four weekend? How do we win ourselves a national championship?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the next league I wanted to get into because for some unknown reason to me, ACC play kicks off on a Wednesday night.
Let's go.
But what? What? We've got Duke Syracuse the Dome tonight. And it's Wednesday night lacrosse.
What's it streamed on? Is it even streamed on anything good?
Oh, do you want to guess what it's going to be streamed on?
ACC Network.
Extra. ACC Network Extra. These 2 teams are this is a top 10 matchup, right? If Penn State wasn't so much of dicks and just continued to lose, this would be a top 5 matchup. Why is this game not on national television? Why is this not the game we're putting out there to get eyes on our sport?
Yeah. This is a huge matchup, storied rivalry in an incredible location. Stuff.
I'm looking up what they're playing on ACC Network instead of this game, so that I can send a angry letter today.
Strongly worded letter.
UTV schedule. So yep, we got pushed for South Carolina versus Clemson softball game and a Texas versus Florida State softball game. I will say all of those teams are ranked in the top 25.
Good games.
Only one of those teams is ranked in the top 10.
And now we have 2.
Yeah, we've got 2 that now you've got to go find. You've got to have this extra thing. It's driving me up a wall. It's driving me up a wall. It really is. Because not only that, but there's a women's game. James Madison, the 6th ranked team in the country versus number 9 Virginia on at 5:00. So you run that straight into Duke Syracuse. That is an amazing night of lacrosse. Instead, we're going to watch softball. And no hate on softball athletes, and I want you guys to get your love too. Softball and baseball aren't fun sports to watch on television. I'm sorry. They're not. Going to a game, different story. Being in the atmosphere, being at the game, different story. But watching those games on TV is not fun. Watching a lacrosse game on TV, I'm sure you would get more casual viewers to watch a lacrosse game than a softball game.
Yeah. Most likely.
But who am I? I don't make billions of dollars to make up these television things, and I may have a slight bias towards lacrosse. Who knows?
What? No way.
Yeah. Cuckoo brings up a great point. Hulu, Netflix,
figure it out.
It's a little bit harder for college athletics because they play in the ACC and the ACC controls where they get to. But Hulu has live sports. I've seen commercials. I watch advertisements. It's so frustrating to be like, there's so many great lacrosse games I want to watch live, but I can't, so I'm going to wait for 2 days and they'll be on YouTube.
Hopefully.
I haven't gotten to watch the Albany, Virginia game from last night. I'm very excited about that game. I've seen a lot of cool highlights. That game just went on YouTube today. I'm going to go watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, same.
It's what I'll do with this Syracuse Duke game tonight. I will watch it on YouTube when I can. And it drives me up a wall. But the ACC is just stacked. Just stacked. I mean, they're a 5-team conference, and
good.
The last team in their league is the 15th ranked team in the country. Like, every single one of these games is going to be absolutely critical.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about going into a gauntlet. I mean, Duke and Syracuse opened it up tonight, and then, I mean, they all got to play each other. Yeah. So,
well, and I think Duke may have given themselves the hardest end of their season. They play Syracuse tonight and at Syracuse, and then they've got a home game on Sunday against Denver.
That's a quick turnaround.
And then you're playing probably the second best team in the Patriot League in Boston, Notre Dame, Virginia, and North Carolina to finish. They don't have another, they're going to win that game by 20 on there.
No.
I think they probably win by 10 against BU.
They definitely have the ability to, but BU could make some noise against them.
BU can play. Like Notre Dame, they've got their 4 ACC games left, and then they picked up Cornell. But there is a week, at least 6 days between each of their games. They're not playing an insane amount of games right now. They're 5-1, and they've got 5 more games.
Yeah.
Hughes at least has one more what should be guaranteed win when they go to Hobart.
And Virginia has a couple of those too. They still get they have Drexel coming up, but then the rest of their schedule, they go at Harvard, North Carolina, at Duke, at Hughes, home versus Notre Dame to end it. Yeah. That is rough.
Well, the one that scares me is UNC. Because UNC absolutely has the talent to beat Army, and I don't want anyone to beat Army. But they've got High Point, Army, and then their 4 ACC games.
So, I was kind of thinking, I guess, if we want to leave, I wanted to talk about Army, obviously, anyway. But yeah, the ACC, I mean, 4 of the teams are ranked in the top 6. Like, they are loaded, and unfortunately, we might not see all 4 of those teams in the tournament, because a couple of them are going to end up with a few more losses. They all play each other, and then there's a little bit of a tournament. Unfortunately, only the 5-team league, so no automatic qualifier. But yeah,
hashtag bring back Maryland. But my thing is all of those losses go down as good losses to the board.
1,000%.
So it's like, it's gonna suck if let's take a Syracuse, right? They're the lowest ranked team, the most likely team to lose some of those games.
Beyond obviously North Carolina.
Yeah, as much as I hate it, but
yeah.
So if Syracuse at 7-2 right now, let's say pick 2 games you want. Pick 2 of the 4 games that they lose. Let's say
for Syracuse.
Yeah, let's say Liam Entenmann's hot and gets some, and
I'll say Virginia is a little too much for them.
Yeah, and we'll say they lose a 19-20 shootout with Virginia, because that's what I'd want to see.
That would be fun.
I'd rather see the goalie battle in the Notre Dame game. But that's,
you don't like new ones?
That still puts them at 11-4 with wins over Cornell, UNC, and Duke.
Yeah. Not to mention a win over Hopkins.
Yeah,
a 1-goal loss to Army, a 1-goal loss in overtime to Maryland, and obviously the Army one was also in overtime as well.
Well, and Colgate's up to number 20, so they've got an 8-goal win over the number 20 team right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So like
They have a win over Vermont, who ruined America's team, so that's got to count for something.
no, we talked about this slightly, but there's going to be a petition on change.org shortly. After Vermont's utter treasonous act of defeating the Highlanders of the New Jersey Institute of Technology, I am moving to extradite them to Canada.
It is time to sell Vermont to Canada.
Yeah, all they produce is maple syrup. Give them to Canada. They'll be happier. We'll be happier. And then we can go to war for what they did to NJIT. But all jokes aside, NJIT's having a hell of a season. So that kind of moves us out of the ACC and into one of the other leagues that I want to talk about, which would be the Big Ten. It's kind of that third, kind of the third league of those superpower conferences.
We
right?
stay kind of the third league, and then they have the 5th ranked team in the nation, the 7th ranked team in the nation, the 11th ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, but they also have teams unranked. That's the difference.
They do, and then Rutgers and Michigan are sneaking in at 18 and 19.
Yeah, no, and I do think the Big Ten is slightly more top heavy than the ACC, right? I could see, I could see a UNC or Syracuse beating Notre Dame or Duke before I could see Ohio State beating Johns Hopkins or Maryland, right?
Yeah.
But the difference also is one of these teams gets an automatic qualifier. And we saw it last year with Michigan coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the bigger thing that could keep an ACC team out. It could keep an ACC team out if, Ohio State or Michigan sneaks in and then wins the Big Ten.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
Does one of those lower ACC teams resume really match up to a Hopkins or a Maryland? And I think a Syracuse that gets really dicey, right? Because Syracuse has the win over Hopkins, but they lost to Maryland if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So now you're playing that game of who beat who in a roundabout way, in a roundabout circle, because Syracuse beat Hopkins, but Hopkins beat Maryland, but Maryland beat Syracuse, and somebody's not going to be happy. And that's why we need to expand the tournament, because we now have enough teams that we could be a 32-man, tournament.
Yeah.
Instead of the 6, because you've got at least 4 from the ACC, at least 4 from the Ivies, and at least 4 from the Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's 12 of your teams right there.
There you go.
then 2 from the Big East, 2 from the Patriot League. Most years you could do 2 from the sub SoCo, a team like Richmond and another team that's it would just be so much cooler. And then NJIT could make the tournament. Just slide that one in there.
No, I think that would be a great change. And talking about growing the game, I think that would only help to grow the game.
Absolutely, because you'd get a team like Utah sneaking in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
These teams do have good years, but generally speaking, even at this point, I kind of still feel like Army has to win the Patriot League to make the tournament.
That kind of brings me up to the next question that I wanted to ask, moving into the Patriot League. Army has... They're at Boston, they're at North Carolina, Colgate, and Navy. I would say all four. They should win all four of those games. I think they're better teams than all four of those teams. But Boston, U, and North Carolina are very talented, and North Carolina is an ACC team. Like you said, I think they absolutely have the ability to beat them. Colgate's playing a lot better. They're ranked now. And then the Navy game is always going to be a big rivalry, and Navy just proved that they can beat the high-level teams. They can beat top 5 teams.
Yeah, with the Army-Navy game, throw records out the door. That game is all about pride.
100%. They do not care what season they've had. It is a brand. That is the championship. Like that is a whole different game. If Army goes undefeated and wins out, do you still give them the number 1 seed? If they win out, they have wins over Syracuse, Rutgers, Boston U, North Carolina. Like those are 4 solid wins. Obviously, they play a little bit. I would say maybe a little easier of a schedule than some of these teams. But that's also granted partly because of their league. I think it brings a very interesting conversation onto the table.
Yeah. And it's what scares me. As an Army fan, could this team absolutely be dangerous in the tournament? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does one slip up for a team like Army possibly cost them a shot at the tournament? Whereas you've got slip-ups from Duke losing to Penn. You've got slip-ups from, I don't know if I want to call the Virginia one as much of a slip-up because it's a top 10 team. They just lost a game.
But
Duke,
the Duke one looks worse and worse, especially after Penn lost last night, right?
But even, Georgetown slips, all of a sudden that Notre Dame loss, or that Notre Dame win is what they're banking on. So it's one of those things, and even the Big East, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get 2 teams in? Because or is Denver or Georgetown going to miss the tournament because of their schedule?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to get rid of, because I want to see all of these great teams.
Yeah.
I have to watch 128 or whatever play it, 64 or whatever play in the March Madness tournament, plus a bunch get invited to the NIT tournament. You're telling me you can't give me 32 teams for a lacrosse tournament?
Yeah.
Lies, NCAA, lies. Give me what I want. Do the thing. Make it big.
So it's only going to make them more money. Yeah. That's all they care about.
I'm just trying to make them money. They don't want to accept my money.
We're trying to help you.
We are. We are trying to save you.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So I did want to touch on a couple of outliers, because I am utterly confused at this point by Richmond.
Yeah.
Because we saw them play 2 really good games against 2 really good teams in their losses to Virginia and Maryland.
Mm-hmm. Other losses are to Army and... Wait, I clicked on the wrong team.
Yeah, I know you did. But they lost...
I clicked on the wrong one.
They lost 12-3 to Duke. So now I have to sit here and look at... They're 5-0 against everyone else they've played. But they're 0-3 against, realistically, any tournament team they've played so far.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of those was an overtime loss to Maryland. One of those they ran with Virginia and gave them everything they could until about 9 minutes left when they ran out of steam.
And the biggest thing that I will say about that is that Maryland and Virginia games were both early February.
They were.
I think Maryland and Virginia beat them a little more handedly at this time of the year.
Yeah, okay. I could see it. More film, more game scout, more cohesion amongst your teams. But I don't think they get held to 3 goals by either of those other teams. I don't.
Yeah.
I think
the funny thing is that we think of both of those other teams as maybe having a bit of a better defense than Duke.
Yeah, but I think where this game was different.
Mm-hmm.
Your freshman goaltender made 12 saves. So
Yep.
they only got 15 shots on cage.
That's crazy.
I think, and I think you look at both of those other games. Yeah, they both probably hold them to single digits, but I don't think they hold them to 3. That is a big number. And that is a really, I think Richmond the rest of the way will score 10 plus. And that includes a game at Georgetown that I feel like they need to win if they want to keep any hope of a write-in bid for the tournament. Like, they have to get a big win. Because right now, their biggest win is, I don't know, Robert Morris, St. John's, Binghamton, UMBC, or Bucknell. Take your pick. Like, maybe the St. No, probably the Robert Morris win holds the most weight. I don't even really know about that. They won by the biggest margin. So, yeah, it probably holds the most weight, but I'm not giving you a good win for beating Bobby Moe. Sorry. So, like, this is a team that I think needs their AQ, and, it could be scary. A team like High Point gets hot. A team like St. Joe's gets hot. The UMass goalie gets hot, and you're done. Like, that big boy gets hot. You ain't doing a lot.
Yeah, UMass can absolutely beat that team. I think that Georgetown game will tell a lot for this Richmond team. For both of them, that's gonna be a big game for both those teams. They both need to win that game.
Yeah.
If they want to keep their tournament hopes alive without winning out their conference tournament.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Georgetown gets another crack because they'll get Denver later in the year. And that's where we are now. We got to kind of start. How are we going to stack these teams up for the tournament? How are we going to get them, how do they build resumes based off of what's left?
Yeah.
But that's kind of where we are, catching everybody up to what we're doing. And that leads us into kind of this weekend in lacrosse. Like we said, we've touched on some of these games, but there's a lot of very important games, starting with that game tonight, traveling up to the Dome. You got Hughes and Duke, and I think this is just going to be an absolute slugfest where I don't see which team has an advantage realistically anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
Like, so let's starting attack lines. You got Josh Zawada, Dyson Williams, and Brennan O'Neill. But then on the other side, you got Christian Moulet, Owen Hiltz, and Joey Spallina. Maybe a slight edge because of more experience to Duke, but that's razor thin.
Very thin. But I would agree, maybe a slight edge to them. I think this will be a really big game for Spallina. He's kind of fallen into that thing this year where when he plays these bigger teams, they get a better defender on him, he shuts down a little bit, and then you kind of see the whole entire Syracuse offense start to falter a little bit more if he's not going.
I will say he stepped up when Syracuse beat Hopkins and Charlotte.
Yes.
He 2-3. I mean, I think if he goes 2-3 against Duke, nobody's going to be, he's just beating up on bad teams. No, even if you go 2-3 against Hopkins, you're not just beating up on bad teams.
Exactly right, and I think this is another game where he can continue to prove that he can be successful against anyone, because he has started to find that success, and he is one of those players very similar to me. He benefits a lot off of other guys on his team, but he's their guy, right? He has the 22 jersey. He's the man. And like when he goes, Syracuse goes. So I want to see him come out hot tonight. I would love to see Syracuse pop Duke in the mouth. That'd be awesome.
Oh, I absolutely am in Syracuse's corner for this. And I think giving Duke that slight edge on attack. If you look at the specialists this year, I'm giving the face-off to Syracuse. Because I don't know what's going on with Jared Naso at Duke. but he hasn't been super impressive to me.
Yeah.
I thought a lot of the matchups I thought he would be more competitive in and more dominant in.
He hasn't been.
He wasn't, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And great, he's sitting at 62% on the year, so I probably look like an asshole. But you know, if you look at their best win of the season against Princeton, he was at 45%. Right.
And we look over it across the X at Mason Cohn. He's sitting at 64 on the year.
And let's take the best face-off guy. That do you want him against Will Coletti or him against Weirman?
Take either.
Let's take Coletti because I like him better.
Fair enough.
Mason Cohn went 50-50 with Will Coletti.
Yeah.
And then Mason Cohn went 55-45 with Weirman.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he's 50-50 with the great ones he faces, and Naso hasn't been there this year. I think this is a big game for Jared Naso needs to get right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree.
The one thing that does worry me about Syracuse is they have had a problematic ability to guard left-handed attackmen who like to shoot the ball, and Duke's attack happens to have two of the best at doing that.
Yeah.
When they played Hop a couple weeks ago, Degnan dropped 5 on him. And if you can't shut down Dyson Williams and Brennan O'Neill, that's a long day in the office. And I don't envy Will Mark for what he's going to go through tonight. I do not. But I think this game sets a strong tone for the ACC play.
Yeah.
Right? It kind of allows us to see, okay, do we have to start talking Syracuse with those big three? Or is it still those big three and then Syracuse UNC?
Yeah.
Like,
we're about to find out.
Absolutely. And I think, next year this game is actually far less interesting. I think if we're taking futures bet, Syracuse is where we got to put that money. Because they're young, they're hungry, and they're a fun, fast team that if the ball bounces the right way, I think they can hang with Duke very easily.
Couldn't agree more.
So I'm excited. I'm gonna try and hopefully that one comes to YouTube earlier. I want to watch it. I want to watch that game with no spoilers. I want to watch that. That takes us to kind of our Friday night happy hour game, which is a game I think we're both kind of interested in for just some other ways. But Army traveling to BU. The past couple of years, this has been a game that has kind of set the tempo for the Patriot League tournament, set the tempo for everything. And it's gone back and forth. Last year, BU beat Army 12-11. The year before that, Army beat BU 15-14. Like, this is going to be a great Friday night game. And I think this season, both of these teams are obviously Army, the number one team. That offense with Jackson Eicher, Reese Burrick, and Evan Plunkett, Jacob Moran, all those guys. All those guys really are doing big things to kind of run the train that Army is driving right now. But BU, no snubs. They're an older attack line the same way Army is. You got Vince D'Alto, who is a top 100 player from IL preseason. And then Louis Perfetto is the other guy who really picked up his being the Batman and Robin with D'Alto. I think a lot more of this game is gonna kind of come down to can BU get possessions? Because we've talked about Will Coletti. He's a madman at the face-off X, and it looks like he'll probably be going up against Matthew Fritz for BU.
Yeah.
He's sitting at 57% on the year. I think he's going to have to tie his cleats a little tighter, tighten up that chin strap, and really get to work. He's going to have a big day that he's really got to come out and get them possessions and let that offense really go to work. Because the more chances you give Army, the worse spot you're in. Army is one of those teams that's not going to beat themselves. But I'm excited. I think that one should be fun.
Yeah. I think it'll be a great game. A lot to play for both of those teams, right? Like we talked about, if they slip up and stuff, they could be in a lot of trouble. This could be a huge win for BU to boost their resume going forward. And on a Friday Night Lights game, can't ask for much more.
Yeah, I think if Army wants to give themselves any breathing room in the Patriot League tournament, they have to win this game.
Absolutely.
I think if they lose this game, they are AQ or bust.
And
the jacked up part is I think they're out of the top 10.
They might fall all the way out, yeah. I mean, especially how, despite the fact that we have at least one other top 10 matchup coming up, then maybe they don't.
But it would be down to the way the cookies crumble. If they lose a game, they're top 10. It's at risk.
Yeah.
And I think that's if there's one thing I know, it's that don't back the Army into a corner because they will come out shooting. So
that's fair.
Hopefully they come out shooting. Moving on to Saturday, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but both of our attention kind of shifts to the Ivy League.
Yeah.
Because we've got Cornell versus Yale, and then we've got Princeton Harvard.
Yeah.
Do you like one of these games better than the other?
Maybe the Cornell Yale game a little bit, but I think they're both going to be really good games. That all four of these teams need and want to win.
Absolutely. Like this week, you've got Cornell coming off a loss or a win that was super emotional. And let's rewind because I want to talk about that game a little bit. Cornell Princeton. I think this is the epitome of a lacrosse game, and a lacrosse game being a game of runs. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to go back and watch it yet. I know you were super busy. You have other things. Take the time. It's on ESPN Plus. When you get an hour and a half to sit down and just do something, watch that lacrosse game. You will be so just enthralled.
Yeah.
At one point, it was 2-1. Yale went on a 7-goal run, making it 8-2. Princeton goes on a 10-0 run, making it 12-8. And then they just go back and forth. It is so fun to just, you've got 80 guys that probably went out on that lacrosse field and just put everything they had and left it on that field. And it came down so it's 14-14. Princeton's got last possession. They dodge with about 15 left. Force the ball to the inside, try to get a last shot off with about 4 left. Defense makes a great play, scoops the ball up. Nobody slides to the pole, 1.7 left. Pole's like, game, blouses, and drills it.
Yeah.
1.7 left, a long pole drills a goal. You have to force a pass with 1.7 left there, Princeton.
All you need is the ball in the air.
You gotta just force that pass because a bobble, whatever. Like, you gotta force that pass.
Yeah.
But it was epic. I won't lie. I thought I saw the turnover. I was like, all right, we're getting an extra period of lacrosse. But now Cornell calls game. And I think that's just where that thing is, where it's, damn, is that what the Ivy's going to be this year? Because now you've got Cornell coming in hot, playing against that Yale team that their only losses to Penn State. Like, this team they beat Denver, they beat Harvard, they've beat Colgate. Like, how do we figure out who's going to win this game, Maxwell? Teach me.
We sit and wait. We get the joy of, I don't know, going into a game where we really don't know what the outcome might be. Like, it's exciting, it's fun. It's hard to pick who's going to win a game like this between teams like this. So, like, we get the joy of not expecting an outcome going in. I think that's kind of the beauty of this, is that we can't really just pick someone, right? We have to just go in and we have to go in and see what happens. Like, we see where the chips may fall.
I'm gonna call it now. Give me Cornell. Only because of William Firth.
I'll take Yale just to mix it up.
All right, here we go. We're getting some Ivy League banter going.
Love it.
Princeton, Harvard. This game has one of the best offensive minds in lacrosse today and one of the best defensive minds in lacrosse today. And they're going to be punching each other. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
I think this is the one game where you don't look at it and say, is Princeton experienced enough to make it work? Right? Harvard is also a very young team.
Yes.
I mean, so for me, it's, how do those young attackmen for Princeton handle, for the first time, going up against a Gary Byrne defense that's going to say, you're going to have to beat us by beating us. We're not going to be out of position. We're not going to create offense for you. Can you create enough offense to beat us? And they're not quite up to that point where some of those Notre Dame teams were back when Gary Byrne was the DC over there. But between Nick Grill and Gary Byrne, that defense is going to become very hard to beat very quick. And they haven't shown it yet this year as much. But they've beat Michigan. They beat those traitors, treasonous Vermont. And then they lost that Yale game by 2. But again, that was a really close game.
Yeah.
That was a very, very good game. So where do we see this one going? Where are you leaning? Where are you looking at this game making a difference, telling us something about the IB?
I think it's going to be exactly what you already highlighted. I think it's going to be that attack of Princeton going up against a great Harvard defense. And I think in this instance, I'm going to give it to Harvard. I think Harvard is going to be able to put the clamps on Princeton enough, and I think Harvard's going to come away with this game.
All right, that means I'm taking Princeton and the Fighting Coulter Mackesy and friends.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and just say that Coulter Mackesy laughs at the defense and just uses his ability to shoot the ball and find the ball and find people.
I like it.
Give me Nate. Actually, you know what? Not even Nate Kabir. Give me Colin Burns going off. Give me the third.
Yeah.
Give me the Red Hood to Nightwing. That's a little comic book reference for you folks. But no, I'm looking. The Ivy League is really holding down Saturday in terms of the good games. So be honest about it. I don't think there's anything else Saturday. Quick look. There is the revenge match of Michigan versus Maryland. That could
the Big Ten M's.
Well, it could be intriguing because it was Michigan that beat Maryland last year in the regular season, and then again in the Big Ten tournament to get their AQ. And I don't think a team like Maryland is going to forget that. So, what does Ajax do? You know, what can Maryland do against Michigan? And this could be, if Michigan still has Maryland's number, good Lord, would this throw a lot of things into just utter chaos again. And then I think the Richmond-Georgetown game, which we already spent a good amount of time on, just who's going to show us what they are. But Sunday, we have 3 games, and I think they're all good games on Sunday. Starting out with Duke and Denver.
Yeah.
I think
that's going to be awesome.
This is a quick turnaround for Duke, focusing on 2 top 10 opponents. You know, we've seen Denver go on the road to Hopkins and win a game against a very good team. So I think this one's going to be punch for punch, you know. I think Duke really wants to play a 6-on-6 game, and I think Denver wants to run. Denver wants to play fast against this Duke team because I don't think they'll be as successful if they're sitting back offensively or defensively. I think they need to attack. They need to play fast.
Yeah, I agree. If you let Duke control the game, if you let that offense have the ball the whole time, they're not going to be denied.
Yep, and then we got the rest of the games out of the Big Ten. Starting off with Penn State and Ohio State. I think this is going to be an interesting one to see how Penn State's attack can handle being guarded by 2 PLL level defenders in Bobby Van Buren and Marcus Hudgens. This is another game. I think, you know, Penn State wants to run and gun. Ohio State's going to want to slow it down and have that dog fight in the mud. So it's going to be an interesting comparison between the 2.
Yeah, it'll be a good matchup for them. I mean, Penn State needs a win right there to keep going, and Ohio State getting a win could get them back on track heading into the Big Ten tournament in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. And the last one I kind of wanted to touch on, Rutgers and Hopkins. I don't know if this is going to be a close game. Rutgers has been so all over the place when they've played good teams that it's hard for me to gauge where they'll be against this Hopkins team. But I think this is a super important one for Hopkins.
Yes.
They've lost 2 straight. They just lost to Navy. You take another loss to Rutgers, and I don't know if your win at Virginia and North Carolina is enough to carry your resume.
No, it's excuse me. it becomes tough. Yeah. They have a couple good wins, and some of their losses aren't bad. Like that Syracuse is a good loss, but if you lose to a team like Rutgers, it makes it a hard sell for you to get that AQ if you don't win out your tournament.
Well, and it also, I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on you going into a stretch of Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Maryland.
Yeah.
Like, you get 3 of those 4 at home this year. Picking up a Big Ten loss to Rutgers, it puts you in a bad spot for the tournament.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to be the high seed. You want to be that team. And if you're, let's say 3-2 in league, because that's where I see a lot of these teams being, that one game was that one loss to Rutgers. Is that going to be the difference between the 4th and the 5th place team? Are you going to miss the tournament because you didn't get that win? So, exciting start. I mean, this Big Ten is going to be a bloodbath. Same with the Ivy and the ACC. So,
yeah,
that's what we got.
Can't wait.
Oh yeah. What do you have? Who do you have Friday?
We got Piedmont on Friday. Rivalry game.
Strap those up. Strap those helmets up a little bit tighter.
Absolutely. Lace the cleats a little bit more. Great win over Los Lomas last night. Really got our team clicking, moving into a rivalry game on Friday before spring break. So O'Dowd does a 2-week spring break. They group their out here. All these kids have like spring break, and then they have like that ski week too. So O'Dowd just groups it into 2 weeks.
Whoa. Why the ever-living hell are high schools in California taking ski weeks?
So all those families can go up to Tahoe.
Ain't nobody taking a week off work. It's California. They take a week off work. They then don't make rent.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's just a private school thing that my public school ass needs to sit down on, because Squirrely Jacks chime in that her school also had ski week.
There you go.
Us public school kids didn't get ski week.
No. So we get they get like a 2-week spring break. So it'd be great to get a win on this team. Exactly, yeah. So O'Dowd just groups a 2-week break around Easter instead of doing 1 week in February and then 1 week for Easter.
All right, I'm wrong. I'm the weird one here. That's fine.
It'll be a big game.
Yeah. So this is something I'm going to ask you then, because I'm having this problem right now. I had 6 kids at practice Monday. I had 8 kids at practice yesterday. I had last week, it was all over the place, all because these schools are going on spring break. And I cannot get my team to show up on spring break, and I don't know why. It's like just because they're done with school, they don't have any of their other responsibilities or something. And I always remember practicing on spring break.
Yeah.
At Cal, it was part of being a lacrosse player.
Yeah, absolutely. We won't have any practice that first week, but that second week everyone is expected to be there.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my old head shaking fist at cloud. But if you're playing a spring sport, you just kind of got to get used to not having a spring break.
Yeah.
Like, spring break doesn't exist. You didn't go anywhere. And if it did, it was a lacrosse trip. I remember my freshman year at Cal, we went down and played Carmel High and Stevenson.
Oh, very cool.
And they brought me and Andrew O'Neill, were the only 2 freshmen that went on that trip.
There we go.
I'm pretty sure it was because I was the only other one, and they didn't. I was the only other goalie in the program at that point in time, besides our senior. So I was just there to hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, you need another goalie on a trip like that.
Yeah, typically.
Yes.
But I think that's all we got, dude.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Any parting words for our lovely audience?
Yeah, thank you all for listening. Please follow, like, subscribe, comment, yada yada. Share with your friends, of course. My Instagram's mpierce12. I think I will hopefully probably create a kind of professional, quote unquote professional coaches profile for myself coming up, just to kind of organize, I coach for a whole bunch of different teams, put it on a good spot, have a good public profile for all my coaching duties. I'll let you guys know, obviously, when that is up and running. Just a matter of me doing it. But yeah, and otherwise, yeah, if you have anything, you can send me a follow request at mpierce12 on Instagram, or hit me up on this. Join our Discord, send me a message on Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, Jackson.
What about you, Coach?
Yeah, you can find me on the Instagram. Go follow Maxed Out Lax.
Yes,
we're gonna
please.
start posting some more stuff, some cooler lacrosse oriented stuff on there.
We'll try.
If you want to find me on Instagram, just my personal account that I never post on, you can go ahead and give me a follow at Coach Max Kaler. I am trying to post more and do more things and be more active.
Yeah.
Squirrely Jacks just posted the link in the comments. It will also be on the YouTube. So YouTube, Maxed Out Lax, all of these episodes will go up there if you want to listen to us on your own leisure while you're at work or something, driving, wherever. But the Discord link will be on all of those descriptions as well as in chat right now. Come join us, come hang out. We're just a bunch of dudes and gals who want to talk about lacrosse. That's what we do.
Absolutely.
Besides that, thanks to Squirrely Jacks for hanging out and helping moderate and chat. Thanks to Cuckoo for coming in. Everyone else who just gave us a lurk, Chuck, all of you great folks. We appreciate everything you do with us. There's a link to our YouTube down below. And remember, until next time, lax on.
Lax on, baby.